Right now, we know that Bitcoin spot ETFs, they are out and they are bringing massive amount of volume. 11 billion worth of volume on the 4th day. Again, just the 4th day. Grayscale for an entire decade bought and bought and bought and bought more and more Bitcoin to put in their trust. And now for the first time ever, they're able to sell it because of the ETF conversion. And they have been selling by the boatloads. Yesterday, they sold a lot. It turned out it was one of the biggest sells ever. It was like 18,400 Bitcoins. That's close to $1 billion of sales outflows from Grayscale. Now, the good thing is that itself sounds really scary. If they're selling $1 billion every single day, how will Bitcoin ever go up? Well, the good news is it's being eaten by everyone else, including BlackRock and Fidelity. They are just growing by leaps and bounds right now. So this is an accurate number. As of day 4, BlackRock now holds $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Over $1 billion. Fidelity, second place, pretty close. 890 million worth of Bitcoin. Then Bitwise, about 375. Then ARK, 280. And Invesco, about 135. The good news is, even though in total, $1.6 billion worth of Bitcoin sold from Grayscale, in its entirety of all the ETFs out there, it's less than that, right? So you could see if you add up all the numbers, they are definitely going up. But the thing is, I've been saying, it's great to see these big boys like BlackRock and Fidelity accumulate Bitcoin. Sure, it's making Bitcoin more scarce. But what is it really doing? It's taking Bitcoin away from regular Joes like you and I. So make sure you don't want these guys to take up all of your Bitcoin. There's only so many. Bitcoin has a set supply. And with the halving event that's coming up that we'll be talking about in just a little bit, it's going to be more and more scarce. So in the meantime, ETFs are here. Massive volume. One of the biggest commodities on earth already, right? And ETFs are going to make Bitcoin even bigger. And the volume shows how much interest there is. And this is right now when Bitcoin is at 42,000. Wait until Bitcoin hits 80,000 or 100,000. You're going to see BlackRock hold like $100 billion worth of Bitcoin by then. It's going to be crazy. And the FOMO will only escalate and the price appreciation will follow. It won't be like this anymore. It's going to start doing that, I believe, later on this year. Even BlackRock, we talked about how they had this really, really calm and soothing ad that they put out. But now they're also putting out charts like this showing Bitcoin leads the way when it comes to gains. Okay, you just can't outperform Bitcoin over long haul. Yes, 2014, 18, and 2022, those were the years after peak years, right? But every other year, it's all Bitcoin. It's not even close. And look at the cumulative and annualized, right? Like, again, if you look at a chart like this, why would you put money anywhere else? Why would you buy the S&P 500, SPX, when you get an annualized return of 13% versus 124% for Bitcoin? Or gold at an annualized growth of 2%. Again, 2% or 124%, right? Like it's a no-brainer. And now even BlackRock is pointing it out for everyone. Like, we've been showing charts like this, or at least I have, for years. No one paid attention. Now BlackRock, when they do it, people are going to pay attention, right? It's just so obvious. It's just so obvious. Why would you hold anything else besides Bitcoin? Well, if you're in the crypto sector, yes, you could hold alts, you could hold memes, but I'm saying outside of the crypto sector, just nothing that's close. Now, there's something else. I've talked about this before in my last Sunday video. There are signs that the miners are selling. Not only selling, but they are dumping. 450 million in a single day. That is a lot. That will definitely cause some downward pressure. But does this mean that the miners are going away because they no longer want to be part of this new cycle? No, no. It's because they've been holding for so long. They need to take some money off the table because this big day, the halving day, is coming. They need to be able to buy more room, more equipment, more miners. They need to keep up. The difficulty of Bitcoin basically doubles after the halving event because now you're getting half of what you used to. So they basically have to double their infrastructure to keep up with the same rate. So I do believe a lot of miners are selling right now because they need that money. It's very costly to buy thousands to tens of thousands of Bitcoin miner machines. Each one is like $3,000. You buy 10 of them, it's 30 grand. You buy 100 of them, 300 grand. You buy 1,000 of them, you get the picture, right? It starts getting really expensive. So I think these miners, they're doing exactly that. They're taking some profits right now. They've been mining for years without selling. Now they're selling a bit because they're getting ready for this big day. Tether is buying by leaps and bounds too. Tether just bought close to $400 million worth of Bitcoin. They hold $3 billion, and that number will only go up. One thing that Tether is doing to kind of change their PR is taking a portion of their quarterly profits every quarter and utilizing that to buy Bitcoin and putting that into the reserves, right? So obviously doing it now looks awesome because if you're Bitcoin maxi, you love to see hundreds of millions of Bitcoin being bought, but also obviously it's a smart move because as Bitcoin goes up, whatever that treasury is 2.8 billion, could become 28 billion soon, right? So it's a smart move right now while we're in this phase. So yeah, that's also happening. So even though the miners may be selling, Tether and others, I'm sure Michael Saylor is probably preparing to buy another batch of Bitcoin, right? It's going to happen. So that's why right now we're kind of going steady. We're not dumping. We're just going sideways because you do have some that are selling like Grayscale and the miners. And then you have others that are buying like Tether and BlackRock, right? They're kind of counteracting. We're not going to go sideways forever. Again, you got to have patience. We haven't been up here for that long, but everything changes in 90 days. Everything changes after the halving, which is coming in 90 days, 18 hours, 43 minutes, 40 seconds, approximately. This is based on blocks, okay? So sometimes blocks come faster, sometimes they come, later. So approximately, let's just say under 100 days. And why does this change things? Why does a parabolic bull run always start on this day or shortly afterwards? No reason. It just does. But we do know that on this day, the inflation rate of Bitcoin gets cut in half. And this will be the first time in Bitcoin's history where Bitcoin's inflation rate is actually lower than gold. It is at a very low level. 90-something% of Bitcoin has been released and mined already. From here on out, everyone's just fighting for less than 10%. And that's going to stretch for over 100-something years. So if you think about it, there's just not that many that will be released. And everyone's fighting for what exists now. There's a set supply. There's not infinite amount of Bitcoin that can be mined. Not like gold or silver or copper or palladium or platinum or any precious metals. Bitcoin, you can't just find more out of the ground. It's set in code and there is a limit. So that's why parabolic runs usually happen after a halving event. Now, why do they happen immediately afterwards or shortly afterwards? No reason. Maybe retail investors are just timing it, right? But this time around, with the institutional investors also paying attention, retail investors, institutional investors, whales, everyone in between, when they all start FOMOing, that's when the parabolic bull run starts.